Welcome to Caleb's Basketball Pod. Here we go with our Western Conference preview. I did a Eastern Conference preview a little while ago. We're getting closer to the NBA season. It kicks off this Tuesday. So perfect time for our Western Conference preview. If we remember, in the Eastern Conference preview, I predicted an Eastern Conference Finals matchup between New York and Cleveland, and I predicted a Cleveland win. So let's keep that in mind as we go for our Western Conference preview, because our next preview will be previewing that possible NBA Finals matchup that we predicted. Before we start this preview, I want to start off by saying congratulations to Russell Westbrook. He found a new home in Sacramento. And me personally, I don't think it fits. I think there's too many ball handlers in this offense. The floor is not going to be spread at all because there's not a lot of shooters on that Kings team. And I think it's going to be tough to generate offense. I think you have to be a grind team, a ground and pound team, and that's really your only chance to win games. I just think that it's similar to that old Chicago team that we said every single year just underperformed. Sabonis is better than Vucevic, I believe, but still just no shooting around. It's going to be physical. It's going to have to be grinding out, and I just don't see that style winning many games in Western Conference. But we'll get to them when we talk about them in our Western Conference preview. Something else I want to touch on real quick is congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces who won the WNBA championship. And another thing is we saw guys like Dennis Smith Jr. and Spencer Dinwiddie get released. Keep an eye on that because guys like that were contributors last season to good teams. So that's something most definitely keep an eye on, that these guys can still compete in the league, and we know this. So I could see a number of possible championship teams sign these guys as backup guard depth and see if they could make an impact on teams. So just keep an eye on that. We also know LeBron will miss his first ever opener. That's huge. That's bad news for the Lakers. And it's to the point where you come to the time where we know this is the last few years we're going to see LeBron James. This could be the last season. When he's actually missing openers, that's when we know that it's coming to the time. He's never missed an opener in his whole career. So it sucks, to be honest. But it comes with getting older, and it's unfortunate. Now let's jump into our Western Conference preview. As like we did the last one, we're going to go 15 and count upward. 15 is pretty simple, I would say. A team I just haven't really seen make improvements at all. Be the Utah Jazz. Ace Bailey's there. You still have Markkanen. You lost Colin Sexton. It's just, you have Keontae George. It's guys like that, but it's just not a good basketball team. And I mean, no disrespect, but I just don't see them winning many in that stacked Western Conference. I think Ace Bailey's going to have a nice year, and I do think he will actually compete with the likes of a Cooper Flagg for Rookie of the Year, possibly Dylan Harper, guys like that. But really, all in all, besides that, I don't see them doing much, and I don't see them generating many wins in the stacked Western Conference. Number 14. 14's a tough one because you have teams that could go up and down. So you kind of have to pick based on how they could go, because no one actually knows. And we have some of these teams we haven't seen the new makeup on. I don't want to count out the Grizzlies, so I don't think it'll be them. I don't want to count out the Blazers because they turned it on late in the year yet, but it's tough. Pelicans are iffy, and the Suns are iffy. I think I'm going to go the Portland Trailblazers at this point. I do love how Chauncey Billups had Portland play in last season. And Portland could be a team that jumps around that play-in area. But I think that's the max of where they could go. And we did see them get rid of Anthony Simons. They do have Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday struggled to really generate much during last season. He played better in the playoffs than he did the regular season. Drew Holiday's leadership may kick in, but they're a difficult team to predict because the max could be anywhere from like 8 to 10 on the highest they could go, or the low could be anywhere to like 15, depending on just how they perform. Interesting team, but with a stacked Western Conference, I'm going Portland at 14. For 13, we're going to go the Sacramento Kings. I talked about just the offense, the offensive issues I think they're going to meet. I think it's going to be too hard to overcome in the Western Conference where everybody's racing up and down the floor and just winning games like that. And because of that, I don't see them generating many wins. I mean, I could be wrong because, again, max for a team like them would be the play-in tournament. I could see them being, if they got something out, this grindy out style worked with a new head coach, I could see them being a 7 to 10 seed. But in all likelihood, in all reality, I see them at 13. Just tough, no shooting. It's hard to really defend out west, and that's what you're like basing everything on, is that you're going to have this lockup defense, and I don't see it happening. Next up for number 12, this is where we start to get tricky. We're going up in the Western Conference, and I do think there's going to be teams that weren't there, jumping into playoff picture. Very possible with how the West is built, but you have to knock down these guys that are here, that's been there, and I don't see that happening. So I'm going to go the Phoenix Suns for number 12. They lost Kevin Durant. They struggled last season. Devin Booker's your guy. Jalen Green's there. Dylan Brooks is there. I don't see them mustering a lot of wins in the packed Western Conference. They did get better from last year, and they still missed the play-in from last year. You had Kevin Durant. You did get better. You got worse, and unfortunately, it's going to be tough on who gets the ball in situations between Green and Devin Booker, because both guys are still young, and rightfully so. Both guys are in their prime, so they're going to want to take that shot. It's going to be tough to just divvy out who gets these shots each time. So I don't see Phoenix winning to the level that they're capable of winning, because they do have some guys on the roster. I think it's going to take a while, and I do think they're another piece from even having a chance to compete in Western Conference. Number 11. We're going to go the New Orleans Pelicans. We've seen that Zion Williams is different. He's in shape. He's showing up. I have yet to see Zion Williamson really play throughout the full year and given maximum effort throughout the full year. So until I see that, I can't believe in the New Orleans Pelicans myself. And also, we know there's still some immaturity with Jordan Poole. So I don't necessarily believe that that's the right move for New Orleans at this point. You lost that veteran leadership in C.J. McCollum, and you gained what's been somewhat of a locker room issue before with Jordan Poole. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works, and also how the ball is distributed between DeJounte Murray and Jordan Poole. Both guys like shooting the ball. DeJounte likes controlling every aspect of the team. How does that impact when Jordan Poole is on the floor with him? That'll be interesting to see. I do think there's potential if Zion stays healthy and we're getting the most out of Poole. He's coming off of ball, he's hitting shots, and DeJounte Murray's healthy and a playmaker. I do think there's a situation where New Orleans could be a 5th seed, a 5th or 6th seed in Western Conference. I do see that as a possibility. Let's go number 10. Number 10, we're going to go the Memphis Grizzlies. I give the Grizzlies number 10 because we know they're capable of being really, really good. it's just iffy. And it's Jaren Jackson gets injured, they start going downhill. Ja Morant gets injured, they start going downhill. They're playing really good basketball last season, and then what happens? They go from giving the ball to Jaren Jackson more to running the offense through Ja Morant. Now the offense struggles because Ja Morant was complaining about touches. It's a tricky situation in Memphis, and with this core, I do not see Memphis winning a championship, nor really close. Don't think you necessarily need to restart, but I think you need the guy. I thought Kevin Durant would have been great for Memphis, and he would have pushed Memphis to that next level, but we know KD picked Houston. I do want to shout out they got Ty Jerome. That could be a big offensive boost, but we also seen him leave the game yesterday, preseason game, early, so we hope that's not an injury issue of why he only registered 4 minutes yesterday. But it's interesting to see what happens with Memphis, but I don't think they can break through that next level. I think they're stuck right now in the same spot. And they need to do something to break through, kind of break that wall and smash through and get to that next spot. But it's difficult to predict on a team like them because they're so up and down. But I loved what Taylor Jenkins did there too, and he's no longer there, so it's a new system. It's going to be interesting in Memphis. It could be really good or they could be really bad. I don't see an in-between. I see either this season goes great and they exceed expectations, or this season goes like downhill and they just don't even get close to where people think they are. Number 9. Number 9 is another tricky one. I think for number 9, we're going to go with the Golden State Warriors. They're another team. I do like the championship experience, but the only off-season addition was Al Horford. It's not bad, but it's not going to move the needle. And I don't think you're much better than you were last year. Of course, we do get to see Jimmy Butler play more. It seems like they have a disgruntled Jonathan Kuminga. That's not great for team chemistry. They do still have Stephen Curry. So again, they're another team. If everything goes right, they could be there. I could see them being as good as top 4 in the Western Conference if everything goes right. But that's a big if, and I don't see everything going right. And if one injury happens to Steph or Butler, you're in the same situation like last year or worse, and you could even fall out of the play-in. So we don't know that. And like I said, the only offseason addition, Al Horford, it doesn't move the needle for me, and I see them in the play-in. Next up, we have at number 8. So we're getting into the really, really good teams out west. Number 8. We're going to go the Los Angeles Clippers. Los Angeles got a lot older. That could be an advantage or that could be a disadvantage. At this point, I'm looking at it as a disadvantage. Because I don't think guys are going to play throughout the year. But if guys don't miss time, and we have a healthy Kawhi, and you have Chris Paul, we know how competitive those guys are. If they're both playing at the same time, and we get somewhat similar to what we had with James Harden last year in the Clippers, it, again, could be a really good team. But with health and all the risk, I think it's easy to put the Clippers in the play-in because Kawhi's a struggle to stay healthy. Chris Paul came off of playing every game last year, but there was not a lot of contribution, so to speak. I think if he plays every game this year, I think we're still going to get minimum maybe 15, 17-minute Chris Paul, which doesn't really show what he can do, and it's to a point where there's not a lot he can do. It's not like it was before. It's like his game's slowed down and he's smaller, and that's a little bit tough to keep competing in the NBA. So, again, I'm not really sure what we get. I do like Brook Lopez as a backup center, but how healthy does Brook Lopez stay? We've seen him struggle with injuries too, so a lot depends on health and age, and because of that, I think they're an easy number 8 here. Number 7. Number 7, I'm going to go the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that's partly because we don't really see the best of the Wolves until the postseason, until we get close to the postseason. It seems like even the last couple years, they get to a point of the season where they just coast. And then from there we see the real Wolves when we get close to the postseason. Anthony Edwards comes alive. Last year, Julius Randle came alive. A problem I see with Minnesota is who's going to be that next point guard. Because I don't think you have Michael Conley for the whole year. I don't think he's your playmaker. I think he's he's older. I think he's slower. I don't think he's going to be that same playmaker that he was before. So I think you lost that constant point guard, and you have I think a lot of the year is going to be finding which young guy steps up and he's that new point guard. And I think what you figure out will be towards the playoffs. And that most definitely, in my opinion, make the playoffs from the play-in, but it'll be from the play-in, and there'd be a tough out in the first round for a maybe higher seed and maybe deliver an upset if it's someone that they play good against, like a Denver or something like that. But here's my biggest jump from last season. For number 6, we have the San Antonio Spurs. I think with this team, and again, a lot of this, and I know I keep saying this, a lot of this goes to health. If healthy Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox for the first year, I don't think they'll see the play-in. I do think they will be a healthy team. There's a ton of talent on the San Antonio Spurs team, and we're hearing rumors that Victor Wembanyama grew up to 7'7". That's crazy. If he stays healthy, he's going to be nearly unstoppable. I think the Spurs are in good position to compete this year, and I most definitely see them in the playoffs, not the play-in, and they're my biggest jump of Western Conference this season. Now we're going to go number 5. Number 5, we're going to go the Los Angeles Lakers. A lot of people would say maybe 5's too high. LeBron's missing the first few weeks of the season, but I think that they're going to excel. I think that with LeBron out for maybe a first couple weeks, I think Luka's going to show up. I think he's going to possibly lead the league in scoring. I think you're going to get the most out of Austin Reeves because he's used to taking a backseat to LeBron. So now you take a backseat to Luka. And that's fine. He's the number 2 again. And I think at that point, LeBron's going to come back in when the Lakers are in a groove, and he's going to find out where he fits in. And because it is later in his career, maybe he'll accept that spot that he fits in on, and he'll let Reeves and Luka do their thing. And if all that happens and it works, Lakers are dangerous, and they are not the team anyone wants to see in the playoffs because LeBron James and Luka Doncic have that next level. So I have the Lakers at 5. For number 4, I have the Houston Rockets. I think Houston is going to be right there in the mix. I think I would have had them number 2 if Fred VanVleet was healthy. And I do see there's going to be a point guard struggle out in Houston, not having that guard to set plays. But because of how good Ime Udoka is as a coach, I don't see that affecting the team much. I see affecting the team enough, but defensively how good they're going to be. The discipline of Ime Udoka, I just think that team's still going to compete. They're going to be top 5 defensively. Figure out the offense. You have your go-to guy in KD late game situations. Houston's going to be tough, and nobody wants to see these guys in the playoffs. Possibly Fred may be back around that time, and at that point, Houston could make a run at that championship. Number 3, I have the Dallas Mavericks. This is another pick that's like iffy. But if things go as well and they keep this team afloat till Kyrie Irving gets back, and you have the roster pieces to keep the team afloat. You have Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, P.J. Washington, Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, Najee Marshall. You have Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. I mean, you have the squad to keep these guys there and stay in the playoffs, in the playoff picture. And then the defense from the length that's going to be established on the floor for Dallas. If you're locking teams down and you're letting Anthony Davis be that guy and Cooper Flagg's building up reps as the point and he's getting guys involved and Klay shooting like Klay looks very confident right now shooting. He is just preseason, but that team's going to be scary. It's going to be really scary in Dallas, and no one's going to want to force those guys because scoring over top of that length is going to be so difficult. And when Kyrie gets back, this trade may not look so crazy, and Dallas may be holding that trophy at the end of the season. That would not surprise me if Kyrie comes back into an established system where we're locking guys down and having length and defense, and Davis is that guy, and Davis is playing at that MVP Defensive Player of the Year caliber. Dallas could be holding that trophy at the end. Number 2, the Denver Nuggets. I love what the Nuggets did. I love their offseason. In my opinion, I think Denver had underrated top offense of everyone. Top offseason of everyone. Underratedly. Because everybody's going to jump at these huge moves like a crying Kevin Durant, crying Cooper Flagg, and all of this stuff for other teams. But all in all, Denver just got back to what they needed. They added depth. They got Cam Johnson. In my opinion, he fits the offense that needs to be around Jokic better than Michael Porter Jr. You got Tim Hardaway. He gives you scoring off the bench. You got Bryce Brown back. You got backup big in what's his name? Valanciunas. You just got everything, in my opinion, you needed and you were lacking, and you're ready to take back control of the Western Conference. And it's this window you have. Jokic is on a contract year. He could be a free agent after this year. So you're doing everything you can to compete and try to bring that championship. And we can't forget, in the Western Conference, they gave OKC the best fight, bar none, in the playoffs, taking them to 7 before losing in Game 7 to the Thunder, which were the eventual NBA champions. So Denver Nuggets, I love what they're doing. I see them at number 2. Number 1, no surprise to anyone, OKC. To me, they're still that team to beat. SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, coming off of championships, MVP, Finals MVP for Shea, huge contract extensions for their core, and just keeping that roster the same, and that's all you gotta do. You are the champs. Want to see how they play when they're the hunted, not the hunters. Very interesting. We saw Boston take a little bit of a hit and fall off in the second round when roles were switched. But I think knowing that you're hunted and you're not the hunters anymore and not denying it like Boston did may give you a better chance to know what to expect, and everybody's going to give you their best because you're the champions and you're coming into court. I don't see much of a fallout from them. Not as many wins as last season for sure. But besides that, I still think they'll be number 1 in the West. Just interested to see if that aggressiveness and everything's still there after these contract extensions. You got paid. Do you keep that aggressiveness? Do you keep playing what got you paid? So as long as you don't take it lightly, and I don't think they will, I think you're still number 1 in the West. Western Conference Finals, this is tough. It's to a point where, like, if Kyrie Irving's healthy, do I pick Dallas over Denver? Because if Kyrie Irving's playing and he's healthy, and say Dallas does make a 4th seed, like I'm predicting, can Denver beat that AD? But that goes with health on AD too. Because of that, and unsure of health, and Jokic is the best player in the world, I'm going to go Denver and OKC. And I'm going to pick a wild card here. I'm going to say Denver Nuggets defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, and the Denver Nuggets move on to the NBA Championship. So tune in for the next episode, which will be previewing a possible finals matchup between Cleveland and Denver. How interesting would that be? But we'll go with our season predictions. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.